a regular part of the program, but when we saw him, we thought it was just too good of an opportunity not to beg and plead for him to come up here, and he graciously agreed. So what we asked him to talk about is how he personally brought into the civil citation program and what that meant at the Pensacola Police Department. So I will let Chip speak next.
Yeah, I thought I could get into the back, and that didn't work. I was recognized. I do appreciate being here, because I'm very engaged in what takes place, specifically with the youth. Back up a little bit. I coached a lot of football, and I mentored a lot of young men in that, because I myself was mentored and coached by some men, and I still remember the words that they gave me. I had parents at home, but the words that they gave me stick with me today. So I know the value of having someone to talk to that may not be a parent, that may understand, and you have that one-on-one relationship with an individual, with a child, that to me is just irreplaceable, because they're tired, you're waiting for the parents to show up. Sometimes the parents don't show up for hours at a time. Sometimes you have to take those children home with you, and that's happened in my house many times. So I knew the value of it, but I also knew the value, unfortunately, of a second chance. And I had become a big fan of a second chance, and sometimes a third chance, because we've had to give many of them. And some of these kids didn't really have a chance, and quite frankly didn't know right from wrong, and had no one whispering in their ear saying, do you understand the consequences of this action? So fast forward, and I'm not going to talk about full of the Pensacola Police Department. I spent 30 years doing that, and I can't right now. But I wanted to talk about a little bit of history of the Pensacola Police Department. When the juvenile field or civil citation came around, I think Keontae and a number of the others came to the office, and they were wanting to give us their insight on why this is a good program. Well, as the movie goes, they had me at hello. I was all for the program. I felt like it would be something that we could do. I thought that it would not only help the kids that we involve ourselves with, but it would also help us with the time frame. We don't have to spend hours and hours with a juvenile. We could get our officers back on the street, patrolling neighborhoods, and hopefully stopping the violent crime that was taking place. So we jumped on board when the circuit, there was a meeting with the Sheriff's Office, Police Department, the State Attorney's Office, and a number of people, and they earmarked a certain number of crimes that they would, in this circuit, that they would accept for juvenile, the civil citation for. So we bought into it. Had a policy, we were all excited about it. And like a lot of things in law enforcement, the officers have discretion. And so what I was finding out is they were using them, but they weren't using them the way I wanted them to use them. So the only way those of you who were in positions to write policy, to mandate things are done, the only way that I felt like we could get it done was to tell them, you'll do it this way. So our default enforcement action was, you will use a juvenile civil citation. If you don't, and there are reasons for it, there are legitimate reasons not to. If you decide not to, you will document in your paperwork to the chief of police why you didn't do it. Now, anyone who's been law enforcement or military, that's worse than spending 4 hours. They do not want to write to the police chief on why they didn't do what the police chief expected of them. So it became known as our default enforcement action. And consequently, at the Pensacola Police Department, our civil citation went up. I mean, it skyrocketed from both in school and then in the community, to where I think today it's 71% and then 81% or so. But that's not even all the story, because in our circuit, the agreement was to allow these numbers of crimes to fit that criteria. The state crimes are bigger than that. So I would venture to say that the numbers at the Pensacola Police Department are much closer to 100% than they are to 71 or 81% that we were given. I hope I made myself clear. There are certain crimes that we could not do a civil citation for because they were not agreed upon in this circuit. I don't really have an argument or a comment on whether they should or shouldn't. All I know is, given the parameters that we had at the Pensacola Police Department, we had the intention is to have every child that qualifies give a civil citation. Now again, if you don't qualify, if there's a victim and they want to press charges, or if you steal something and the clerk or something doesn't want to do it. But it was very successful. I think it saved us countless hours of our officers spending a lot of time with these juveniles, and I got to think, and I'm convinced that it's helped these juveniles who have made one mistake, maybe two mistakes, not to have that criminal record, And it's probably one of the few things, not few things, but one of the many things that I'm very proud of at the Pensacola Police Department, that and the body cameras. I can't get away without saying that we were the first, the only group to put the body cameras in, and we didn't have to do it. And to this day, I believe we're the only agency in this region to do it. And there are valid reasons not to do it. We just chose to do it because I felt like it was the right thing to do. So anyways, I think I talked longer than you wanted me to, Lisa. This will teach you for getting me up to the front. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it.